Good morning, welcome to Life After Death, a Guardsman's Tale. Today I want to talk about the concept of good versus evil in terms of the military. Okay, so historically, we us in the West, from our perception, we always perceive that we're the good guys. And we all want to be that good guy, the hero as such. So I've been thinking lately while I've been volunteering with the British Legion, because I'm a poppy peel organiser for my hometown of Atherton, about why are all us veterans volunteering to raise money for the British Legion when it was in fact the British government who sent us to war, not the Royal British Legion, not Help for Heroes, not Combat Strength, and the list goes on and on. So why are we dependent on charities? And then that got me thinking about some decisions, actions and consequences of those actions that I've been through on the battlefield throughout my 20-year career. And I started to think about the concept of good versus evil and that perception and the identity of the soldier and the hero. Because ultimately that's why a lot of us joined the military for, to be the hero, to be the good guy, to help people, be selfless. And I'm thinking about modern warfare now in particular. I'm talking post-Iraq, Afghanistan, because historically the British Army in particular hasn't invaded another country and held ground, probably since for the past 150 years. So when you think about the First World War, there was a clear right and wrong, a foreign aggressor attacking Europe, and you can argue all day what was the spark that ignited that powder keg of the First World War. But ultimately, there was a clear expansionist mentality of the Germans, and we put a stop for that. Second World War, you've got Nazism, fascism. There's a clear right and wrong. We're the good guys. But as the British Army, we weren't taking territory from Germany to a certain degree. We were regaining territory that they'd lost, or regaining territory that they'd invaded, France, Belgium, etc. So we stopped them. Then comes the Cold War area, where it's more of an ideological war, where from our perception, we think we're the good guys, but from the communist perception, they think they're the good guys, and we're in fact the bad guys. So then you could arguably say that the Falklands, we were attacked again by Argentina, and we went there and reclaimed British territory. 1991 Gulf War, Iraq invades Kuwait. We push Iraqi forces out of Kuwait back into Iraq, but we don't invade Iraq. So we've never fought a war in the past 100 years where we've gone in and dominated that country and stayed there, trying to instill our values and standards. And this is key here now. And coming to the turn of the century, obviously we've got the Balkans crisis and whatever happened over there. But yet again, we just went there as a stabilisation force and not an invading force as such. So coming to the turn of the 20th century, then September 11th changes everything. This is where it gets very interesting now for me, and I'm sure a lot of other soldiers will share my viewpoints on this. In 2003, we invaded Iraq as an army fighting an established army, a uniformed army that is recognised in the Iraqi army. Okay? We defeated them, and then we disbanded the police, the army, everything in Iraq. We just got rid of it and start from scratch. Then we had to fight militias, whether this was the Fedayeen, whether it was the Mahdi army, whether it was just drug barons. We were fighting militias. Now they're not fighting by the same rules as us. And then obviously in Afghanistan, we're fighting the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Now the difference is, now they don't wear uniforms, right? They don't abide by the same values and standards that soldiers fight by. Okay, there's no honour there. IEDs, they fight dirty. Counterinsurgency warfare is, it's horrendous for the occupying force, and that's what we were. We were an occupying force in Iraq and Afghanistan, trying to impose our values and standards onto people who A, didn't want them, and B, never even asked for them. Okay, so we're very much trying to solve an Eastern problem with a Western solution, which didn't work. And then when you think about Afghanistan now, you've got generations of Taliban. The first generation maybe fought the Russians in '89, and the average lifespan in Afghanistan was only about 38, 39 years old. So these people would have died out by the time we got there. So you've got a second generation of Taliban now from like 2001, 2002 when we started having a presence there. Come 2020 when we left, you've probably got a fourth generation now of Taliban fighters. So these aren't the same fighters. These are the population of Afghanistan who are fighting us. So yet again, they didn't want us there. It's their country. It's not Taliban from like 89 or 79 to 89 who fought the Russians. This is a new generation. So that brings me on to my next point of, were we the bad guys? Okay, why do we spend 20 years in Afghanistan? And I think a lot of people struggle with mental health, myself in particular. I struggle with mental health because I had these ideals as a young man of joining the army and being a hero. But for reasons out of my control, I believe now that our presence over there, our unwanted presence, made us at part the villain. Especially when you're fighting a counterinsurgency warfare and you're fighting it militarily, and all the casualties and the acceptable collateral damage of civilians that comes with that. So somewhere along the lines there, I believe that we were wrong for going into Iraq and Afghanistan politically, strategically and tactically, some of the stuff that we did over there. And ultimately it's the young men and women on the ground like ourselves who paid a price, and that is questioning our decisions and our actions over there, because if it's not a just war, how can we be heroes? If we were invited by these people to help them out and help their countries, yeah, we're clearly the villains. And I think history will judge us as a foreign oppressor in the years to come. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Iraq and Afghanistan. And I've been thinking about what the politicians are doing this time of year, Remembrance Sunday. I call it political tokenism. Majority of them, 99% of them, they lay a wreath once a year and they say, I'm looking after our forces. Is laying a wreath on Remembrance Day political tokenism, or are you actually helping our veterans? So what I'd like everyone to do is to, email your MP, email your local councillors and ask them, what are they actually doing for your veterans community? Because we live in a democratic society, we're a democratic army, and it's the responsibility of local and national government to provide for our veterans, not charities, like I've covered before. Okay, charities didn't send us to war, the government did, so they've got the responsibility. Okay, bit of a rant this morning, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.